Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Myself, Jake Storielli, David Mendelson, a.k.a. BBD, producing his buns away. And it is trade season. It's the season of the trades. And I'm going to walk through what we have currently, where we're at. Maybe we'll get a live one. We had a couple during Talking Baseball today. Quick recap, get some thoughts on each one, and then a little bit of what we're hoping to see get done in the next 24 hours. Speaking of 24 hours, also a little warehouse promotion. We're going live Thursday, August 1st at noon. We're playing a blitzball game to 100. So that, as long as it takes to get done, is what we've signed up for. Myself, Jimmy, and Joe's McFly versus the We Got Ice boys, Jack, Zoe, and Shelfie. It's being called the longest blitzball game ever. So every time I talked about this for so long, and now the realization is really sinking in. Hour 5 of blitzball might be, it's going to be a scene. Couple old bodies out there. So come check that out on our Warehouse Games YouTube channel. Let's talk trades, and let's even go cron pot on it, because I think that's important. And man, so this is where we move the needle here on Talkin Jake. The AJ Puck trade to my Arizona Diamondbacks. Okay, let's see, a little bias from the start, because you know I'm a Snakes guy. Let me see where we're at by the end of this episode, and especially by the end of the trade deadline, which we'll be recapping, I think Wednesday, maybe late Tuesday. See if we want to get Folkish in the mix. Get Jolly involved? No way. Maybe. I think there's a chance we look back at the AJ Puck trade. Oh, God, this is such baseball loser stuff. And say it's a good trade. AJ Puck started this year as a starting pitcher. This guy was an uber, like a highly rated prospect. A's, 6'7", lefty, gross arm angle. Like if there was a guy you thought would be the next kind of Chris Sale, it's kind of AJ Puck. And he has had success as a reliever before. So that first month, April, they kind of roll him out there as a starter, bail on it. And since then, and now he's with the Diamondbacks too, and he's got 2 clean innings there, which we like. 30 games, 32.1 innings pitched, 37 strikeouts, a 1.95 ERA, a 150 opponent's batting average. I think as people are fighting over Tanner Scott, and we'll see what other relievers become available, AJ Puck kind of could have went under the radar as a wipeout, nasty lefty. More than a strikeout per inning, 1.95 ERA since he's gotten kicked to the bullpen. That I think we could look back at that and say that's one of the better value picks of the deadline. Let's see if I believe in that in a couple minutes. So that happens. Go Snakes, go. Remember how strong their bullpen was last playoffs? Things are starting to happen in Arizona. I think 55 and 51. It's coming. The next one, and while we're talking trade deadline, I would just like to say, currently positioned pretty well. Bring you back to expectations are everything in life. You go to expect, I said this before, I went to see Tropic Thunder. I thought it was going to be the funniest movie I've ever seen. RDJ, Dr. Doom. I'm hip on social media. That reveal is actually cool, even if you're not a Marvel nerd. God, you want to see a bunch of people excited about something? Go check out the Robert Downey Jr. reveal of him being Dr. Doom. Anyways, we expected this deadline to stink. All these teams were like in the mix. We're like, is anyone going to deal? We're trying to think of these eyeball deals. We're having a deadline. We still need a couple more big fish to drop, and this was never
crazy.
This was never going to be an A+ deadline. This was never going to be Soto or Scherzer, Turner, Machado. But yeah, I think we wondered if we would even get to this point. So thank you, Tampa Bay Rays, as they traded Randy Arozarena to your Seattle Mariners. Seattle Mariners needed some hitting. Randy apparently likes wearing those color uniforms, so that's huge for him. And the Randy Arozarena story, similar to A.J. Puck, for the past couple months, he has been balling out. Let's get some numbies for you because that's what the people like. To start this year, he had a 461 OPS in April, March. Awful. A 699 OPS in May. Unfortunately, close to league average this year, although the stats are ugly. The last 2 months, June, 291, 424, and 893 OPS. July, 286, 378, a 910 OPS. I don't expect those numbers to stay. I expect Randy Arozarena to be good. I think he got off to a bad start this season. I don't know, luck, injury, whatever it may be. But he turned it around on the year. He's having technically a plus season. And for the past 2 months, he has been all-star level. And Seattle has needed hitting, and I've been really tough on the Mariners. And Randy's come in, and he's had a couple good games for them already. So excited for Mariners, excited for Randy. I hope Seattle does more. They've got a couple more trades with a little bit of funk to them. But Randy Arozarena for the price they paid, and if you're looking to talk prospect capital, I'm sorry. I'm in it with some of the big names. We were laughing on Talking Baseball today that maybe we need some more prospect ranking updates because all these prospects are like, Jeff Passan's calling people out on the internet. Oh, you think he's a nobody because he's the 8th ranked pitcher? Well, you don't know ball. And it's like, well, maybe I know ball, but maybe I haven't been tracking Phillies AA baseball this year.
The go-to websites do a preseason and postseason list. Feels like we could do like a monthly update or just a...
How about an all-star break update? That seems fair. Sorry to prospect nerds. Sorry for putting a little more work on your table. But I think it's one of those, it's like when your parents or teachers tell you that you're leaving more work for yourself.
Yeah.
I don't want to say half-assing it. I think you guys are doing a great job. I just think we need to do the job again.
It's just the ordering them on the website.
No, what it is? It's like, oh, if you mow the lawn and you let the grass grow out really long and there's a bunch of stuff on the outside that you got to trim and take care of. And it's like, well, if you actually just did it one more time, it's the same amount of work, just spread out.
Yeah. Like, in the Yankees instance, they trade Augustin Ramirez, big part of their trade. He was ranked 20th.
Right.
He's had a big breakout year. Like people in baseball obviously knew like he was a prospect. He's probably most valuable, realistically traded prospect.
Yeah, people
immediately places like number 4 in the Marlins system now.
And I think
they fixed it with the trade.
Reading about him, they were saying that he was going to become like a top 100 prospect because he was a 22-year-old catcher at AAA with 20 homers. So the scouting thing's funny, and the other thing that I always point to an example of how not perfect this whole process is, you know who became a top 10 prospect after not being one? Randy Arozarena, because he played really well in the playoffs. And he instantly went from like not prospect to top 10 in the game. So we're still figuring all this out. It's part of the beauty and part of the weirdness of this sport we enjoy. So, yeah, Aiden Smith, Brody Hopkins, and player to be named later. I don't know. But I do know Randy Arozarena, and I know Seattle needed it. And there is upside there. And I'll tell you what, if Seattle can get to the postseason, know who the other team does not want to see at the plate? Randy Arozarena. So let's see if they get a little more done. James Paxton to the Sox for a 17-year-old. Nice. Sick. This one turned some heads in the baseball world. Austin Hayes, former Gold Glover, I believe, double-checking, and a solid righty contact bat. Almost 10 career WAR. Take that, Trevor Plouffe. Unnecessary. Just unnecessary. One-time All-Star, 2023. So another All-Star traded. He gets traded from Baltimore to Philadelphia. Been rumored for outfielders. For Sir Anthony Dominguez. So this is what I've been daydreaming. I've told you guys on here. as this deadline was coming up and looking funky, I was trying to find team strengths with team strengths that lines up. But it's one of those things that I think it's impossible to predict unless it's truly like an extra starting pitcher. Then a team would trade them. And hey, Seattle can still be won over. Austin Hayes goes over to Philadelphia. A year and a half of Austin Hayes if they want it. He kind of gets paid for Sir Anthony Dominguez, who you've probably seen in pitching some big innings for the Phillies in past years, along with Kristen Pache, the outfielder, that I think him and Johan Rojas became slightly redundant for the Phillies. I don't know. The other part that's fun here is like kind of got some butts on the line, right? Sir Anthony Dominguez kicks into gear with Baltimore and becomes their 7th, 8th, 9th dominant guy. I think Philly fans are going to be like, wait, we really traded Sir Anthony? Like, that guy's been wipeout for us. Baltimore, I guess, a little less skin off their back, which that's a weird phrase. What is that? Is that like, does that go back to bad times?
It doesn't evoke kind imagery.
Skin off my back. Skin off my teeth? The idiom "no skin off my back" means something is not a big deal and the speaker doesn't care too much. It looks like there's a Reddit that says the origin is pretty gruesome. So I'm not going to click that, and I'm going to say no skin off my teeth.
Yeah, the word whip is part of the first sentence there, which I was starting to think about.
Maybe we need to get better. Maybe that's one of those phrases that you say as a grandpa, and your grandkids are like, oh, my God, how did he say that? And you're like, I don't know. We all just said that. Okay, so I'm canceled. Austin Hayes goes over to the Phillies. The Orioles have outfield depth in droves. It's been a tough year for Hayes. League average OPS that, he's normally a tick up from there, but I just think it's in the world of the future of the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know how much of a future Austin Hayes has been there. And they potentially get a high leverage reliever for themselves. So I think people tend to like this more for Baltimore. However, and we don't know the outfield trade market, and I will break our Cron Pod, which I hate to do. This company's built on Cron Pods. The Phillies go out and they trade for Carlos Estevez, who Trev said maybe the most impactful trade of this deadline so far. Like a contender getting a player that will affect it, which, okay, kind of rude. Jazz Chisholm. We'll get to that. They trade for Carlos Estevez, who I think there's a chance he is looked at as the number one reliever that comes out of this. His whip is 0.735 right now. He's got a 2.38 ERA this year, 20 saves. He's been closing the last 2 years. Came up as a Rockies guy from 16 to 22. How many other Rockies pitchers do you know that survive? He's gone over to the Halos, and he's been a productive player for them. And, man, I think it's funny. The Phillies have crazy bullpen depth, but in a way, the ninth inning is open for whoever wants it. Jeff Hoffman's been incredible, but he kind of came from nowhere. Alvarado's had his ups and downs. So Philly, and these were the prospects that Jeff Passan was yelling about, so maybe they gave something up here. But it seems like they upgraded their bullpen piece. They brought in the outfielder they're hoping for. And we'll see. I know Trev was daydreaming of a Marsh Hayes platoon, and they could still bring in another outfielder. We'll see. It's the Phillies. It's the land of riches. So I think they could be done and be okay. I think they could also get in the mix. The team of the trade deadline so far, your Tampa Bay Rays, and they unloaded Zach Eflin here, to the Baltimore Orioles. So in division trading, and some good notes here on the ESPN, which has a nice little updated trade deadline season going. Baltimore had 3 starting pitchers undergo elbow surgery in June: Bradish, Means, and Wells. So they are looking for some innings and potentially more. They have Burns and Grayrod, Dean Kramer. The thing that was surprising, and I guess put this as a little notch in your future Baltimore belt. Who's got future Baltimore belts? Zach Eflin is making $18 million next year. So Baltimore signed up for that. Which, whether you're talking about future signings or re-signings or whatever it may be, Baltimore willing to pay that for Zach Eflin, who has been the model of consistency. The Baseball Reference was pretty shocking how consistent it's been. That for the Orioles, it's a little bit of, in baseball, we say you never know what you're going to get. Like a box of chocolates, some might say. You kind of know what you're getting with Zach Eflin at this point. And, hey, maybe he does tick up in Baltimore. That massive left field always speaks to me. But you're getting productive and slightly plus innings from him. So they didn't have to give up any of their top prospects. And for the Rays, it's kind of a win-win. They get to bring in a handful of prospects. They got a ton of pitchers on their way back. And they're not on the book for Zach Eflin for next year, which they backloaded that contract. Those tricky Rays. Very clever. We'll get back to them in a second because we have to talk Seattle Mariners, where I'm going to double down on the trade because I think they made Mariners fans go, ugh, because they traded away Ryan Stanek to the New York Metropolitans. Okay. Stanek, the numbers aren't too flashy this year. 4.95 ERA. Got hit in his first appearance with the Mets. Tough. Was 4.38 the other day. More strikeouts than innings pitched. He's made a career as a major league reliever, a 3.6 ERA. He had one dominant season in Houston. Also, Yankee fans probably remember he was an opener guy. In 18 and 19, he started 56 games as the opener. So that's weird. That's just weird. That's going to be a bad Jolly Olive video. Unsubscribe. There's a lot of hostility in the office right now. Mets are good. It's the trade
Tensions
deadline.
are high.
Trev's here today. You get a proven MLB bullpen arm, which I get that there's volatility to that position. Ryan Stanek got rocked in his first appearance. He could get rocked in his next 5, and the Mets might have to DFA him. He could also go on from this point to have a 10-appearance scoreless streak. Life of a reliever, but he's an MLB guy. Mets needed arms. They just had a couple guys go down. They get it done, and, I mean, you're not paying a premium price tag. The Mariners, and I had to head tilt myself, because if you're going to add Yimi Garcia, you might as well keep Ryan Stanek. No, although Seattle will be the first to tell you we're a bullpen factory. Nice. They give up Jonathan Clase, 80-grade speed for Yimi Garcia. He's good. There's times where he's set up for Toronto. I feel like there's times I was excited to see him in a game as a reliever. I feel like there was times I was like, I don't want to see him in the game as a reliever. I was going to be tough on Seattle because it's like, are we really doing the trade away reliever things again? But I just mentioned it with Philly. They went from Sir Anthony to Carlos Estevez, which, like I said, with relievers, Sir Anthony could outpitch Estevez. Like, it's just how it works sometimes. But I like the move for Philly that I'm gonna lean. I like the move for Seattle. I think Garcia is a better relief pitcher. And he's already had 2 clean sheets for them. So welcome home. People do have that one noted as the prospect could come back to hurt them. They say, like I said, 80 speed. If you know the MLB scouting world, that's as high as it gets, and they don't give those grades to people. That if he can figure out any other aspect of the game, could be a useful guy. And catcher Jacob Sharp. I mentioned Stanek for Ryland Thomas. Here's a big one. The New York Yankees have traded for Jazz Chisholm. You heard us mention this before. Agustin Ramirez headlines it with Short King Jared Cerna and my guy Honest Abe Ramirez. Jazz Chisholm to the Yankees. A guy that has probably sometimes drawn fair ire from fans. Fair ire. I don't even know if ire works like that. What's the definition of ire?
And ire would be just like anger.
Anger. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah,
that's kind of making sense.
You draw ire from people.
Some people probably dislike Jazz for the wrong reasons. Some people probably dislike Jazz for okay reasons. Some people love Jazz. That I think where Jazz Chisholm landed, he had the quote this year calling out Miggy Rowe, who's one of the most beloved guys in the game. What it is on paper is a guy not making a ton of money that's under team control. Is he under 2.5 years?
Yeah, 2 years after this year.
26 years old, has power and speed. He's had some injuries in his past too that should be noted.
If we're getting into the ARB situations because of what he's done so far, like he's not making a crazy number.
Right.
He doesn't project to be a guy who like is breaking any ARB records,
22 All-Star. That was a limited year. He only played 60 games. He's been around a league average hitter for his career. When you factor that in with his speed and versatility, can be a very plus ball player to a ball club. Interested to see how the Yankees handle that. They needed athleticism. They could use the versatility / major league bat. The Jazz might be walking into a real nice situation where he also doesn't feel like he has to carry the Marlins offense because the Yankees have two guys carrying it at a historic level. Never mind if other guys start to contribute. 13 homers, 23 steals now on the year. For the Yankees, it's going to be interesting to see the next pieces. This bodes well. Like people were throwing out trade ideas or, we were talking about him on the train and Jimmy was running through things that the Yankees have money coming off the books this year. But if you're signing Juan Soto, who's currently making $31 million, and let's say you sign Juan Soto to $40 million a year, with the number that could be coming off between a Glaber, potentially Rizzo, and there's one or two other guys in there. Like, you have other positions that need to be filled that every dollar goes away from filling another position. And go look at how much free agents go per year. That Jazz Chisholm, who's making $2.5 million this year, I think he's projected for $4 million next year. So whether Jazz Chisholm's next year's second baseman, maybe something clicks at third, maybe it's the outfield, maybe it's a super utility. Tell me how many guys as talented as Jazz Chisholm go for that $4 million mark. It's none. So this was, I think Yankees fans got a little excited that if you're in the weeds on this is a plus move for re-signing Juan Soto. I think this is a plus move for this season. I think this is the right environment for this guy. We will see. Could be singing a very different tone in a little bit. And it's crazy that it'll be dictated mostly from the results of 60 games, which we've seen players be amazing for 60 games. We've seen players be bad for 60 games. Go check out Randy Arozarena's for 60 games this year. Really bad. But it sets up the Yankees for flexibility on their next move. It sets up the Yankees for flexibility in their upcoming off seasons. And, hey, he's a guy that does have potential to tap into a little more. I don't know if that sounds like Yankees BS to you, but whether just ballpark factor, whether it's having other guys in your lineup, whether you believe in like off the field leadership, and the Yankees have a captain and they've got, if you don't respect Judge and Soto, you're in the wrong sport. And Jazz has come in
just entering mid to late 20s and being healthier.
Right. He Jazz has said all the right things so far. I mean, maybe this is the opportunity both sides are looking for. Maybe Jazz is a superstar in his own right. Full-on baseball-wise, maybe not. But, like Nestor won over the crowd in New York big time. And although he's a name kind of on the block right now, let's see where Jazz lands with its team. Yankee fans are excited. They do want more, always. That's what being a Yankee fan is about. Augustin Ramirez, go be great for the Marlins. Same with you, Jared Serna. I'm okay.
Serna would have
I'm okay.
needed to be added to the 40-man after this season anyway, so that's also some math we didn't get to mention in the immediate reaction.
And Waken Jake people already knew Jared Serna because Foolish Bailey threw him in a fake Tanner Scott trade.
Marlins, you just got him last week from us.
Yeah. So, funny how the world spins sometimes. Danny Jansen, is that a passing?
Yes, the Boston Red Sox and Pittsburgh Pirates are finalizing a deal that will send Quinn Priester to Boston.
Okay.
For infield prospect Nick York.
Interesting.
2020 first-round pick.
That's prospect for prospect. Quinn Priester, a young...
He's debuted, but...
I think he's a former first-round pitcher, so that's an interesting one. Aren't the people running Pittsburgh...
Yes, he was Pirates 2019 first-round pick.
The people running Pittsburgh used to be Boston, right? Isn't it like Charrington? Like, didn't he go to timeout?
I forget when exactly everybody took over, whatever, but
I mean,
they have good relationships.
Yeah, I'm not fully trying to depict overlap, especially on this trade with recent ball players, but that's an interesting one. Young hitter for a young pitcher. Last time we saw a trade like that, what is it, Zach Gallen for Jazz Chisholm? We've seen a couple more, but you don't see a lot of teams put themselves out there like that. Arozarena for Matthew Liberatore. Comment below what other trades you like. Danny Jansen's a Red Sox. Great. Crushes the Yankees, so I don't like that. We did Estevez. Jesse Winker to the Mets. I love it. I gave Jesse Winker my award today, half because we forgot to talk about the trade. Jesse Winker's been bashing this year. Jesse Winker has sneaky bashed his whole career, except the past year and a half, which that's how baseball works. But not this year, not this season. 129 OPS plus. Mets, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle the rest of the deadline. If they stay with this, it means Bader probably goes to the bench / platoon versus lefties and defensive sub. While Jesse Winker, man, these Mets are already banging that if they add another twig to the lineup, they're a scary team to play, especially right now. And they gave up Tyler Stewart, so I don't know what you do with that. He's 6'9". He was a reliever in college that's now starting, so there's that. I think there's going to be teams that are very jealous they didn't trade for Jesse Winker. I'm not even saying he's going to have a big second half because right now he might be fighting for playing time on the Mets. There was a rumor the Mets might still flip Chady Martinez and Winker comes their DH. Interesting 24 hours coming for Metropolitans fans. Okay, our Rays get back in the timeline as they trade reliever Jason Adam for 3 prospects from from San Diego. And I think 2 of them are kind of prospecty prospects, including a first-round pick arm, which I read Preller has traded 8 of his last 10 first-round picks. So I don't know, a little bit of Seattle Seahawks old approach. Like, let's bring in guys we know are going to be good. And one of those guys also, Merrill Jackson? Jackson Merrill. That was getting weird in my head. Jason Adam is gross. May not like the cat, but he is a 3-pitch reliever.
Good pitcher. It's
tough to guess along with him when he's pitching because he has the 3 wipeout pitches. He could give you multi-inning if you needed it. Pairing him with Suarez on the back end can be a nice little duo for San Diego, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try to add some more bullpen for ideally cheaper than Adam. But yeah, this was a big haul for reliever, and now they get Adam, I believe, for a year and a half.
Might be even be longer.
And he's might be 2.5. So that's where the price tag kicks in. And man, Ray's funny business. And Adam credits them. He was granted his release by Chicago. He hadn't done much before that. I guess he had a nice 2019 with Toronto. 23 games. Sure. But yeah, he's been wiped out the past couple years.
They need him.
Again, he adapted to that Rays bullpen lifestyle of kind of wherever, whenever we're meant to be together. I'll be there and you'll be near. Shakira.
Ken Rosenthal has tweeted a 3-team trade in which the Cardinals would acquire Erick Fedde, the Dodgers would acquire Tommy Edman, and White Sox would acquire prospects is close.
Have to think if Kenny's putting that out there, that it's close. That's my analysis.
Sounds like he's reporting guys going to multiple teams. So
Fedde to the Cardinals, and that's obvious. Okay.
Fedde to Cardinals, Edman to Dodgers.
Tommy Edman. Interesting.
Dodgers will make use of that.
Yeah. Can play a little shortstop, too, if I remember correctly.
That's what they need.
Shortstop, center field, middle infield. Okay. Fedde to St. Louis.
Seen him everywhere.
That's obvious. Okay. Let's see some of the prospects involved. Good for the Padres. I think this is the number one trade people have circled as this one could hurt in a couple years as relievers tend to run out. And like Dylan Lesko, I think was a first-round pitcher last year. Homer Bush Jr., you might know that name from Homer Bush Sr., which then led us to probably the most significant trade IMO so far. Isaac Paredes, 25-year-old all-star third baseman for your Tampa Bay Rays, gets traded to the Chicago Cubs for Christopher Morel and 2 pitching prospects. Interested to see the Rays Devil Magic here. Love me some Chris Morel. I think before the season, if you said Chris Morel or Isaac Paredes, I think people would have leaned Paredes, and that's why people like this trade for the Cubs. Paredes is locked in as plays a good enough MLB third baseman, mashes, a guy you don't want to see at the dish, man, speaking from experience as a Yankee fan. Christopher Morel feels kind of streaky as a hitter. He's been having a tough year this year. Doesn't have a position locked in yet. He's one of those versatile, but almost in a bad way currently.
He's like athletic, so you feel good trying him anywhere, but he hasn't looked great at any specific position.
You like to think something's going to click. I don't know. There also is money and years factor here. There's another year of Morel, while Paredes is starting to get kind of paid for them, while the Rays get their hand on 2 more prospects, 2 more pitching prospects that we kind of know how that organization handles them. Cubbies, let's see if they can find some juice this year. You change something up and you bring in more of a bona fide player. I don't know. I've kind of been out on the Cubbies this year in their front office. This isn't a move just for this year, and we'll see if the Cubs sell off any parts because they get Paredes for a little bit. But I don't know. I've got a little front office just gut here. I really like Chris Morel. People are saying he has more natural pop than Paredes, that if the Rays can tap into whatever that is, which we've seen them do with a couple ball players. Hell, we saw them do with Isaac Paredes to get him trade value, a lot of trade value.
And that Paredes good for him and the Rays. They had figured out a way to maximize his skill set. Everything about his scouting report has you need to do kind of these specific things to be really good, and he's done that very well basically his whole time in Tampa.
Yeah. Tigers gave up on him, and they turned him into this. So, Hey, Swanson, Horner, and Paredes, there's a lot of talent in that infield. There's a lot of talent around that Cubs team. Maybe the light bulb goes off soon, and it all looks very pretty.
And Isaac Paredes' original organization?
Let's see. Marlins?
Cubs.
Huh.
So maybe they might have
not
wanted to give him up in the first place. Jack Flaherty was scratched from his start.
Okay. Like that.
And they have said in protection for a trade.
Yeah. Got to.
They're not, he's not hurt.
We're here. And speaking of we're here, Michael Lorenzen got traded live to the Royals today. Instant reviews on that. Our Royals are just getting insurance for what's been a strong starting pitching. Their bullpen had a couple injuries over the weekend. And, I don't know, it was an interesting note, I think for my guy Bradford Doolittle, that Kansas City has gotten the least amount of contributions from its rookies this year. Or negative WAR from all their rookies this year, which that's where your depth comes from in baseball. So Michael Lorenzen gives them depth. Bullpen when they need it, starter if they need it. Texas gets to save a little money. We'll see what else they do because it seems like they have more pitching on the way. Nobody's really sure. They're kind of one of the wild cards of the deadline. And we just broke the other live trades to you. So I think I want to circle up on the next 24 hours or so and what we're going to see. We'll be live on our Talkin Baseball channel, recapping where we've gotten to and what's coming next. Down the line, Baltimore, as big of a threat as anyone. Boston, I don't know, just swap prospects. Let's see what else they got up their sleeve. They brought in Danny Jansen and Paxton, which, hey, that was my ask was Boston show you're involved. They're involved.
They seem to be trying to make smart moves.
Wouldn't be surprised if something else happens. White Sox keep emptying the chamber. Although after Fedde, like we talked about, there's some smaller parts or Luis Robert that I would love to see that trade happen. Or one of the other White Sox that's, I don't want to say fallen from glory, but like I'd love to see Eloy in a New Jersey. How do I make that happen?
Just get him somewhere else.
I know the money feels different. Tommy Pham's currently on those White Sox.
Yeah, he's gonna go.
Does someone think Andrew Vaughn can tap into something? Michael Kopech in the back end of their bullpen. So they should be doing more. Cleveland, nobody knows. Cleveland fans got mad at me for saying that front office. I can't believe in them them doing a deal. They referenced trades from like 2018. Sorry. I think they like what they got and they don't like to spend money, which is a tough trade convo. Tigers, you just heard Jack Flaherty. That's the big one. They also have bullpen pieces. Don't be surprised if one of those either gets attached or just traded because bullpen pieces are getting returns.
Any team might have relievers come and go.
Yeah.
You know,
we're seeing some of the contenders do it. Houston, I'm super interested to see, man. They are always just snake in the grassing, man. Are they going to add pitching? They could. They can add and they cannot, and they're fine either way. They are sick org. And if you're looking for something to watch tonight, Paul Skeens versus your Houston Astros. They should add some pitching. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens for Houston. Kansas City's just been in the mix. They were supposedly in the Jazz Chisholm mix, so is Pittsburgh. Those teams are both looking to add cost-effective hitting. That's what I said about Jazz Chisholm. I think one of those teams is going to give in for Brent Rooker. I really think they should. Brent Rooker's got a lot of positive numbers there that I think they could. Angels, hard sell. They got pieces. Pilar, will Rengifo and Ward go? Tyler Anderson. Yeah, there's a lot more deadline coming. I'm pretty hype. I didn't think this deadline was going to give us anything. Twins, nervous, should be adding. They've got a lot of complications. Yankees, still looking for impact adds. Minimum we're looking for still at this point is pitching. There's some hitting options that can figure themselves out. Scary. Would ideally like another infielder and some pitching. Oakland, not as crazy hard sell as you think. Like Andujar, maybe. Brent Rooker, I'd love if they would, but they're asking for a big price. There's a couple bullpen arms, but I don't know.
This time of year, you never know what's being said. It's just like a leverage play.
Right.
So,
I mean, they don't have to move Rooker.
They don't.
And Rooker, I could see where teams are probably trying to lowball on Rooker. I threw some shade that way. Doesn't have a great defensive position. You could say it feels fluky, even though it's like not. Like it's been there for a year and a half now, and this was a former big-time prospect. Let's see what goes on there. Seattle, get me more hitting. Tampa, keep mixing it up. Texas, complete wild card. Probably going to stand mostly pat.
Yeah.
Sold Lorenzen. They don't have a lot of open just spots.
Yeah. They'll like it. Obviously, they've already done some trades, but there's like just a kind of shuffling of the deck.
A little bit. Arizona could be good. Let's see. They've been playing better baseball. They could be in the mix. Braves. Everyone kind of thinks they're going to do a nuclear move. Or they thought they were going to do a nuclear move. As it gets closer to the deadline, I don't know. The Braves keep things close to the chest. I would expect them. Okay. Atlanta's got to do something, right? Like the Mets caught them at one point. I would expect the Braves to either do, and I've referenced this before, anyone in any line of business references what they did before. Braves traded for a hodgepodge of players. They ended up being the best offense in baseball. They ended up winning the World Series. Could they do a Pilar, couple other guy grab bag and try to figure some things out? Sure. Could they do the big move? Could they do a Crochet or something like that? Absolutely. They're the Braves. So I didn't realize this to now, and that's why I'm doing this exercise. But I would expect the Braves to do significant something or some things in the next 25 hours. If they don't, I mean, I think if you want losers and winners, people would really be head tilting at Atlanta. Cubbies, I don't know. Me and that franchise are struggling right now. I don't know. There's Jameson Tyone selling rumors. Can you still do that? I don't know. Cubbies fans, if you're tuning in, I guess, do you want to see them hard buy at this point? I mean, Paredes for Morel, that's buying. They got Nate Pearson. I don't know. It's just tough for me. Fangraphs has them as a 7.7% shot to make the playoffs. And I don't know. Something about that org has just felt a little off to me. Let's see what else they do. Reds, I think, are stand pat / soft sell. They don't have a ton of pieces. India would be fun. I guess that's been rumored now for a year, though. You know? Make it happen.
Miguel Vargas is going to the White Sox as part of that trade.
Good for them, man.
Good for him.
Good for him. Good for them. Get some run. Be good. Quick hands. Like that. So the Dodgers got Edman, huh?
They get Edman.
Yeah, I guess you could slot him.
I wonder.
You can slot him anywhere. That's the beauty of the Dodgers, right? Edman can play infield, outfield.
Whatever they want to do whenever Mookie's back, whenever Mookie wants to play, when he is back.
I hate to be rude. I liked watching Mookie play right field.
He was special at right field.
If that ever happened again, I'd be open to it, but he was also fine up the middle, so whatever. Marlins, still a couple relievers, maybe a big pitcher to sell. I feel like we've talked about that for years now. If there's ever a time, like they're selling.
Seems like the White Sox are going to walk away from that with a couple more prospects in that trade as well, but I think Vargas is the only name we know.
Okay.
Is the only name we're
right
familiar with. I haven't seen any other names, period. But
Milwaukee will do something kind of weird and will shrug. They traded for Nick Mears, reliever from the Rockies, so expect him to go nuts the next couple weeks. Next couple years, probably. Milwaukee's got the good sauce. Mets, interesting. Soft ad so far. Is there going to be any flippies?
Dodgers get Michael Kopech.
Update. He's going to be good for them. Back to you guys in the booth.
White Sox joined the party today.
Arm talent times Dodgers times leaving organization not known for success.
Unclear to me if that's a separate move or part of this.
Three-way. Edman and Kopech. Okay, Dodgers. I smell you. I would have been interested if those two players went to the Yanks, so good on you then. Good for the White Sox for getting a name people know. Mets, jazz us up. Do something fun. Phillies, you're always in the mix. Go get Luis Robert. Otherwise, I think they could be done and be fine. Or I could see them getting another starter. Tyler Phillips filling in great for them. Kobe Allard currently in the rotation. Can't have enough arms come October. Pittsburgh, get some hitting, man.
Get a bat.
What is we doing? Jesse Winker was there for cheap.
Can get Josh Bell back for just wanting to pay his money.
San Diego Padres are supposedly in on Snell. So they're in on anything, I guess. They're looking for pitching. Their lineup is sneaky, like...
They've been doing it.
Sneaky just locked in. Like right now, Tatis is on the IL. So if you wanted a new catcher for Campusano and Higgy, sure. Although Higgy has been killing it this year.
I think they love those
and
two.
Campusano's, was a real prospect. And there's no catchers available. So, Arise, Profar, Cronenworth, Machado, Bogarts, Merrill, Tatis when he's back, Ha-Sung Kim, like they're good. Maybe if there was ever a Cronenworth flip for a more first baseman, but that's my guy, and we're not doing that.
David Hensley to the Marlins off waivers.
Yeah. I'm going to skip one team because I want to come back to them. St. Louis. So what did St. Louis sell? Or no, they got Fedde. They're in.
A year and a half of Fedde.
Cardinals are in. They love themselves a veteran pitcher. Speaking of veterans.
And boy, does he fit into that rotation.
Yeah, he will like it there. Good ad by them. I like that. Nationals, let's keep selling. You moved Winker. Couple bullpen pieces people have their eyes on there. Lane Thomas feels like the time would be now. Let's see what that looks like. The team I skipped, the San Francisco Giants. Let's see. Snell is back. Robbie Ray is back. They both had nasty outings. Kyle Harrison just had a nasty outing. Logan Webb, one of the best, most consistent pitchers in baseball. It feels like it's coming together. They're 53 and 55. It says they have a 20% chance to make the postseason. I like the Snakes. I like the Padres. The Giants, Tyler Fitzgerald going nuts for them. Solaire's been playing better. Chappie been good. Man, I think they're going to hold on and hope. I don't know if it's the right move. Maybe they do some retooling. They've kind of have pitching depth now. That we talked about this before the season, that there was going to be a day when Robbie Ray came back that things were going to feel different. I wonder if they put themselves in the mix. They'd be a sneaky great Vladdy team if I was doing clickbait. Could they give up a real prospect package to go get Vladdy and kind of get the star they've been looking for? I don't know. That's some deep end. I've got my eyes big time on the San Francisco Giants to see what they do in the next 24 hours, although my guess is not much. Atlanta's got to do some shopping. I'm excited for that. I've fallen into that. The Dodgers just made their move. Fantastic. I'm obviously watching my Yankees. We'll see if Houston gives us something. And will one of the teams really cash in on chips, like a Seattle starting pitcher or Baltimore's real prospects? Until then, might see on Talkin Baseball. We'll see you here on Wednesday, maybe with a jolly or a fool. Otherwise, tell them about Dan.
Talkin Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.
Subscribe.
Thank you.